They tied the knot in a small ceremony for just their closest family and friends. Both Mum and Dad were really keen to start a family and had planned to have a baby for ages. Mum marked down the dates in her work calendar. She was working in an office at the time and was hoping for a late spring or early summer baby. I was born on the 9th of June, 1989. When I was little, we would go for long walks in the countryside and down the lane nearby to a farm where there was chickens and cows, and we would buy eggs, milk, and cooking apples. We also went to the park, blackberry picking, and to see local friends in the village. It was a real countryside upbringing. Our house was in a cul-de-sac, and it was really quiet. Sometimes my old cat Casper used to fall asleep in the middle of the road, and if a car came along, they would just stop and pick him up and put him on the grass verge before continuing. Dad worked long hours driving lorries for an oil company. He'd been doing the job since he left school when he was 16, and some of my happiest memories are the times when he used to come home for his lunch if he was driving in our area. I would see his enormous lorry pull up outside the house from the big window in our living room. I would always be elated to see him and rush to the door to greet him. On other occasions, he would bring heating oil to our house, and I remember the big pipes, his heavy boots, and the strong petrol smell of the chemicals. Dad hated his job driving lorries, but has always been really entrepreneurial, and in his spare time he used to do art classes. In our garage he had a massive lathe, and he used to craft lots of wooden furniture and sell it on to make some more money. He also made loads of things in our house, like tables, chairs, and lamp bases. When I was about 2 or 3 years old, apparently I used to go around saying, "Daddy made it, Daddy made it," and point at almost every piece of furniture because I literally thought he had made everything. When I was at school, he slipped a disc in his back and ended up having a year off work. In that time, he studied web design and later he started his own business, which has become pretty successful. We were all really happy that he didn't have to drive lorries anymore. 2 years and 2 days after I was born, my little sister Natasha, who we call Tash or Tasha, arrived. I loved looking after her, and apparently one of my favourite things was getting her dressed and undressed. It was like she was my little dolly. I also loved helping Mum to change a nappy and do things like that. We did bicker growing up, but we've always been very close. Dad would hate it if we ever argued, and always made us hug and make up. My first school was Henry Preston Primary School, and it was opposite my house, so I'd literally cross the road to get there, and always spoke to Mum through the gate or over the hedge on my lunch break. The school was so small and friendly, and I always felt happy there, even though I do remember being a bit scared of my head teacher. My teacher in the last 2 years, Mrs. Piggott, really left a lasting impression on me. There have been certain people in my life who have made me feel like I can do anything, and she was one of them. She was a really strong woman, and a bit of a hippie. She wore knitted crochet crop tops, with her belly button showing, paired with floral maxi skirts, and her hair up in a messy bun. It was a pretty cool look for a teacher, if you ask me. I took piano lessons, and she taught me guitar, and really encouraged my musical side. On Friday afternoons, we always sat on the floor and sung along while she played the guitar. I did an after-school activity every night of the week. I started ballet when I was 2, and then went on to do tap, jazz, disco, modern, and gym. Mum and Dad wanted me to be confident and have different skills, and while I don't think I was particularly good at dancing, I loved it. Mum told me that when I had a routine development check at about 4 years old before starting school, the nurse asked me what a lake was, and I replied, "It's something you dance on," because I was so obsessed with the ballet Swan Lake. The nurse said to my mum, "This child is different." When I was small, Mum started working as a childminder, which was really cool because it meant she was at home with us, and there were always other children in the house to play with. There was one little boy she looked after whose mother was an artist, and sometimes we would go to a studio half a mile down the road and have art lessons where we made things out of clay. We never watched much television. We did have a video player, though, and I've always loved Disney. I remember we were given Cinderella,